join in on the fun and grab your glue gun. It's the Preppy Crafty Girl Show.
Hey everyone, this is Jonna, the Preppy Crafty Girl, and I am here for a junk journal, handmade journal flip through for the hashtag Prairie Girls Gather. It was a collab that I did with Angela, the traveling crafter, and Carol Crinkle Path. And so I have been working through my journals. This is up in my Etsy shop by the time you guys see this video, and I wanted to share it with you, and I also wanted to tell you what else came with this adorable journal. I'm super excited about it. So I have this on the front and an awesome patch from the Laura Ingalls Wilder Home and Museum. I did just Velcro it on in case you want to take it off and stitch it or iron it onto something else. So that's just Velcroed on. I'm going to include, I haven't decided what, maybe a yo-yo or something that I will also put Velcro on the back. So in case you want to take this off, you will have something right here that will look really cute and kind of go with the theme. So that's my thought that with that. Then I made this charm tassel. So there's all this fun trim here. This is really cute brown and green rickrack that goes with the fabric that was used. I also put in some of the Little House on the Prairie fabric that my friend sent me. And then I did this little like junk charm on here that has a little real wood charm, a little hot house and a doily and an L for Laura Ingalls, Laura, or Little House on the Prairie. I made this in a Trinket Tuesday, so you'll get one of my handmade charms, which is the coffee pot that they used to put on the fire. And then I made a little tiny Going West Little House on the Prairie book charm. And then you'll have this little Prairie Girl, Prairie Boy charm and some other little dangles. I handmade this on a Trinket Tuesday also. So this was from Trinket Tuesday and this was from Trinket Tuesday. And the coffee pot was from Trinket Tuesday, the camping coffee pot. Well, this was I hand painted and did the fabric on the beads. And so I added that to the charm. Fun, and it's removable with a bulldog clip in case you don't like to journal with this attached. Some people don't like to do that. They feel like it gets in the way. And this has some beautiful crocheted trim here. I did a bunch of layering of some fun scraps on the front. And then this has 3 signatures sewn in with some of the Little House on the Prairie fabric. And then this is an old vintage quilt square. And then this is on the back, and this is the original book cover. And in gold, it says Little House, Laura Ingalls Wilder, and then has the little log cabin there. Okay, so that's the outside of that one. Some other things that I'm including in with the journal is this really cool newspaper, Welcome to Mansfield, Missouri, home of Laura Ingalls Wilder. It has kind of like their stories and is called the Wilder Days. Has photos in here. Laura's gingerbread recipe is in here. And then different articles that appeared in the newspaper. And so that I'm including. Also, that's getting included is the My Book of Little House paper dolls. So if you love paper dolls or you love the junk journal, you could also use this in your junk journal if you want. But it is so super cute. This is new in the package. So I have that going with the journal. I did a scrappy tie with the Little House on the Prairie and then all kinds of fabrics, vintage fabrics and lace that I had. So that is the tie for it if you need to use a tie. Also, I included an ephemera pack. It also has the Laura Ingalls Wilder pen. So you'll get that pen included that goes, and there's a bunch of like handmade ephemera and a bag. And then there is this like prairie kind of looking skirt, just the pattern envelope. And then all kinds of goodies in here, handmade tags and ephemera and like Denison mailing Avery mailing label, and then some of, just different ads, wrapping paper, antique books, vintage airmail paper. So lots of stuff that you can use to continue to use in this journal, or use it making another journal if you want. This would be a cute little journal you could make if for somebody else who loves Little House on the Prairie also. So those are some extras that I have included in with the journal for you to enjoy. And let's go through the journal. Now this journal, the size is 8¼ high by 5½ wide. And it has, like I said, 3 signatures and a 2½-inch spine. It is chunky, and you may want to take stuff out if you don't like it to expand a whole lot. And then it has, but there's plenty of room still to grow. You can see there's space in between. And there's also some items in here that are adding to some thickness, also. So let's get started with the inside. And inside is this fabric pocket. And I kept the end papers, because the original end papers, because I thought they were so cute with the gingham. I included the Laura Ingalls family postcard. So you have the whole family. The paper that is used in here was pink paisley. It's a 2010. It was called Queen Bee Collection, a 2010 paper. So it is actually a really nice, beautiful paper, nice and thick, double-sided. I also used in here the Jenny Bolin paper, and also a Bo Bunny paper. So there's 3 older papers in here that the quality is just so much nicer than the newer stuff that's out now. So I'm so happy that I saved and hoarded all of my older scrapbook paper. So I have some vintage vintage trim on here. Here's a pocket. I made this on one of our Prairie Girl lives, and stenciled on the inside. You can see how I made this. It's made with one of my antique wallpaper printables. I actually have the antique wallpaper, and so I went ahead and scanned it in. It is available on my coffee shop, which I can link below if you want to go and pick some up for yourself. So there's a couple of projects in there that I did. So I have this rusted, really cool eco dyed paper that I did, put that in there. There's a beautiful botanical page. This is like velvet. It has this really cool texture. I've also been sitting on this for a long time and decided to pull it out. I don't know who made this. It may be KI Memories. I'm not really sure. And then this is the beautiful Jenny Bolin paper. And then inside this, I did the pocket. This was a printable I offered for free during the Prairie Girl Gathers. And then I did a journaling card. And this is on old, typing paper. I have a vintage placemat doily in here that you can use as a pocket or a page. Here is a pocket that I made, and then it houses this little flashcard that says Plains on it, and it is just white on the back, so you can do your journaling there. This is also on this really lovely vintage green parchment paper stationery that I had. This is a fun CD that I made, and then this is a little pocket. So this comes out, you can journal on the back. It is dyed and sprayed and stitched around. This is from a prairie book that I had, and it talks about kind of all the different prairie states. And then here is some jelly plated paper that I did with Hazel. Here is a cluster of little different things. And then this is some vintage tissue paper that I went ahead and Mod Podged or collaged onto cardstock. And then you have this because Pa always played the fiddle. So I have that little flashcard. And then here's this yellow flashcard because Laura was a school teacher. So, you know. Then I have this bookmark also, Laura Ingalls Wilder bookmark that I included. And I love the quote on it. So I thought that would be nice to have in your journal. There's a little envelope with a vintage card. And this is from an 1800s. This is real. Everything in here is vintage or thrifted. I may, and I don't even know if I did one printable, which would have been Angela's, the traveling crafter for the series. I tried to include a page just as a nod. There may be an envelope made out of it, but everything is original vintage and some are antique. And this is an antique ledger that I included from 1889. And I tried to stay true to the period, other than the fabric. I tried to stay true to the period. So there is a lot of fun different things. That's some Jenny Bolin paper, which I love this paper, and I stenciled on the inside with some oxide ink. This is from an antique sheet music. That's the other side. Here's a fun card that has like a Western kind of scene on the back side. So I put that in. And then this has like a barn. Not like, but has a barn. And then this opens up that file folder. A little cluster pocket. A little cluster at the bottom of the Jenny Bolin paper. And then I made this scrap flip thing. Lots of journaling space and a lot of special little tuck-ins and things like that. Yankee Doodle, because Yankee Doodle was one of the songs that they would do in the book. This has a little cluster on it. I made this, I think, on a live, if I'm not mistaken. So that's Laura Ingalls, and it came out of a book that I had been given by Angela. And then there's some vintage stationery in there. And then this, some of the things I just clipped in, thinking you would move them anywhere you wanted to. I made this from a rusted envelopes. I did some rust dyeing, and so that was one of the envelopes. It's really cute. And then I put this pocket. There are images from one of the, I think actually, no, the images actually came from this book. So there are images from this book. It's a little vintage playing card. I have a little post note. And then I made these Olson Mercantile little on parchment paper or parchment stationery. And then there's Pioneer printing. I thought it was kind of cute. Oh yeah, there's a couple of altered little paper clips in here also. Some more of this ledger. This one's actually from 1966, so not as old, but I loved the color so much. It's an old book. And then Laura and Mary helped Ma with the work, and they're making their feather bed. Stencil page, blank ledger. I made this in a live, I think. This was an altered flashcard, which I put my printables on here. That's my Laura printable, Laura-esque. And then this is another ledger that I had. So put that in. This is from 1931. There's a book page from the Prairie that my friend Carol sent me. And then there are some journal cards. This is from an image from the book. And these have been dyed or sprayed. I also made this little scrappy piece in here, little notebook that comes out. And this is a printable, so this was an idea to do with the printable. I think I may have done this on a live. Okay, this is one of Angela's papers, and I did a little cluster pocket down here, and here is, and that's Petunia. So these are from 1978. This is a zinnia seed packet, an old one. Here is an altered paper clip that I made with the playing cards. I did this on a live, one of our Prairie Girl lives. It's got a little notepad in here, and then it has two pockets, and then it has another pocket right here from one of those little game card pieces. I have, this is an altered little sack here that I did with Laura and Mary from the book. Some dyed paper, and also I jelly printed on that side. This is some vintage stationery, and this is typing paper. And that was from a Frontier book. This is some of that handwritten, and I had an antique book that had all these images of plants and things, so I thought that would be neat. Put that on there. And then here's the parchment paper, the other side of that printed paper. And then this side just has like all the other sides of the pages. There's a pocket I made with a horse splash card, and then I made this little tag here. Another one of these altered paper clips, and that holds in another one of these fun CD things that I dyed and stitched around and made a journal card. And then this is a really sweet picture from the book where they're playing with their dolls and sitting on pumpkins in the attic. And here's another one where Laura and Mary are making the maple syrup sugar. And then I found this old vintage maple syrup ad. So this is actually two pockets, but I only put one thing in there. And then the book, and then an envelope, a ledger. This is vintage wallpaper that I have that I thought the colors went great. This is another side of the Jenny Bolin paper. Here is a rhubarb cake recipe that I have that was typed out by somebody. And then a little pocket down here for covered wagon Bartlett pears. This right here, this little learners, could have been something that the Ingalls could have used in school. Then the third signature has that queen bee paper. So this paper right here is the Bo Bunny. It was from the Noteworthy collection. And then I made this little trinket on a Trinket Tuesday because she had that pin on her neck in her portrait. And so I thought that was kind of neat. And so we made those on a Trinket Tuesday. And on the inside of this one, there is a cluster down here with a little covered wagon. I've got a Missouri old postcard. I don't know what year this is from. I can't read it. Oh, it's actually on my birthday right there. And so then I have these old photo cards, I guess, that you put your photos in. And then I had this picture of Mary, and I forgot her husband. Anybody? Was it Alfonso? I can't remember. No. But this came out of a DVD set that I had, and so I thought that was cute putting it in there. I forgot. Oh my gosh, I can't believe I forgot what her husband's name. my husband's name was in that. Okay, so then I will have to look it up or put it down in the chat if you can remember. Again, more of that 1890. This is a page from 1892 in that ledger. Some wallpaper border, and then this is an old postcard, picture. It was an old picture that I had, and so I put that on there. It is not a copy, it's an original, and I just went ahead and made a pocket, glued it and made a pocket, and then it has a farm in the background. But I just love this scene on the sled. I should have made a copy for myself because it's just the cutest picture, but I didn't. Their packages and their sled, old dictionary page, and then there's made this tag and a pocket from one of the images out of the book. And then here is a recipe for Swedish rusks. I just love those old recipe cards. And then I have like Minnesota, Wisconsin, Iowa, kind of the area where the Ingalls traveled. So there's a piece of atlas. Some sweet wildflower wrapping paper I had. Embossed vellum paper. Again, some more of that jelly printed dictionary. I got this from Crinkle Path because remember Mary loses her sight, so there's some Braille paper in there. These we made on Alive, and they are the little trees that died and made into little journaling cards, so I had to tuck little trees in here. They are made from coffee filters if you want to go back and look at that. And then I have a little handmade tag, and then this I stamped with an antique stamp that I had, so you can just take that off. It's just tucked on there. Here is a really cute card with her little, she's doing candle dipping. Oops. And then missing some pages, just the back sides now of all the pages. A belly band with a picture here. That's a journaling card. Oh yeah. Then this was an old coffee bag, and it has a wagon on here, so I thought that is really cool. So I included that. And then the back sides of these pages, there's this really pretty seed page in here. And then this is one of the altered envelopes I made. Also made this little clip back here. And this, I did not glue it closed. If you want to, you can, or you can just use it for journaling. And then this is from an 1889 school autograph book that I have, that I pulled some pages out of and tucked that in there. And then here's a tag and some buttons, like a little button card. This is actually from French General, I think it's called. And then some sprayed index cards, and that's the back. And then I made this really cute little shaker, kind of little shaker pocket bookmark that has churn butter and sunshine, barefoot in the grass. It has little old mother hubbard right there. And this is also something I did a video for on my playlist. If you look for the playlist for hashtag Prairie Girls Gather, you will see a lot of the items that I made for this journal. And then the back side, and that's it. So I hope you enjoyed this flip through. I knew it took a while because the book is very large, and stuffed and full of all kinds of handmade creations. So I hope to see you soon, and I will be back shortly with some hauls that I still am preparing to put up on my channel, and some I'm doing a couple of my own journals I'm working in, and then I'm going to go through kind of my thoughts for what is coming to the channel and my own creative life in 2026. So I will see you soon. Bye guys.
The preppy craft girl, living in her crafty world. She loves creating junk